and so we return to the Psy Op of stupid that is The View, where naturally, of course, Whoopi is leading the charge with the battle cry of the moron with regards to the Tyre Nichols killing that happened a few days ago, and oh, holy balls, listen to this.
It doesn't matter if it's a white policeman or a black policeman. It is a problem in the police, in the policing itself. You know, things don't seem to make sense to people unless it's somebody they can feel or they can recognize. But how many times do we need to see white people also get beaten before anybody will do anything? I'm not suggesting that, so don't write us and tell me what a racist I am. I'm just asking, is that what people have to see in order to wake up and realize this affects us all?
Yeah, that's not gonna make the rounds in a while or anything. You know, these people saw this and went, fuck, we have to somehow make this white people's fault. We don't know how, but we have to. No white people involved here, not the victims, not the offending officers. Hell, even the chief of police in Memphis is a black woman who was fired from her Atlanta gig in 2008 for her alleged involvement in sex crimes investigation into the husband of an Atlanta police sergeant, according to the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. The husband of said Atlanta police sergeant was later indicted by a federal grand jury after he pleaded guilty to a count of CP. What a great police department, eh? But anyway, back to the elephant in the room over here, and no, I do not mean one of them on the panel. That's an insult to the elephants, who have good memories, and those harpies can't remember jack shit. But I have noticed, usually the first ones to open their beaks at this kind of news and tug at the heartstrings are always the XX variety. Now myself, being an XY, I have a penis, and this affords me the privilege of being much more rational and logically driven. If I look at this situation, and not just this particular one in a vacuum, but broadly the United States over the last couple of years, crime has skyrocketed out of freaking control in certain places in the United States. My first question wouldn't have anything to do with the conduct of law enforcement. No. It'd be, why the hell is there so much freaking crime? And ask some related questions. Most importantly, which demographic is committing so much crime? Where is it taking place? What's the economic situation like? Who is in charge of this crime-ridden hellhole? Why is it always a Democrat? Which DA is getting their rectum tickled by George Soros' bellend? Those are the kind of questions that I would ask. Because if I see those riots, smashed cars, and buildings on fire, I don't know how everyone isn't dialing 911 going, hey, remember how you guys used to hold the monopoly on violence? Yeah, would you mind doing your jobs? Maybe show up here with enough lead to turn everyone in a 2-block radius into a pencil? This is insane. Does anyone remember the old saying, prevention is better than cure? Maybe a bit late for that one now. Take a page from Rudy Giuliani. Ask him how he fixed New York, and I'll bet you diversity hire wasn't on his list. Now, the issue of do white people need to be beaten before anyone does something? Couple of things to say on that. Let's be real here for a second, shall we? The police brutality narrative has nothing to do with police brutality. It is only race-based. We can see this with this very interaction over here. The press went above and beyond imbecility all over the joint to somehow blame white people for this, no matter how deranged or insane they look. We all know this narrative is only race-based. When was the last time you saw any police brutality video go viral and the victim was white? Anyone? Anyone recall any riots and fires when it was white people getting killed by the police officers? No, because it never happens. It's almost like they're more civilized. Do you think it would even make the news cycle if a bunch of black cops beat to death a white male? It would never even come into the news cycle because it has no use in pushing the narrative. If it somehow made its way into the mainstream via Twitter, for example, they will ignore it harder than they do the Twitter files. Fox would maybe cover it, if only to point out media hypocrisy. But I'll let all of you in on a dirty little secret. Do you know why certain people don't flinch at this kind of stuff? Because far too many times we have seen things like this, only to find out later something shady as all hell the media decided to hide in the quest to fuel animosity to get the clicks first come first serve, whether it be the victim or the force, in this case the latter. And you know what's the consequence of showing this demographic over and over again in the pursuit to sell your race-baiting agenda? One section of the population sees this repeatedly and thinks, why is it always this demographic that has the trouble with authority? There's never any discussion anywhere about violence in this community. And because they never see their own kin getting in trouble on this kind of scale, they think they're the more civilized group. And as long as they maintain their civility, they won't have this problem. That's why. But again, these idiots, same as the previous woman, no talk of hiring practices, a lack of standards, the train wreck dumpster fire that is diversity hires, or why is there so much crime? No, those talks might reveal some uncomfortable facts this lot would never ever talk about in a million years, because it's not about actually solving any problems of why is there so much crime. No, we have to look at the few instances of where shit hits the fan and focus on that. Never will we ever discuss why is there so much crime. You know why that conversation will never happen? 2 reasons. A, because it's a business model for some of those people. From looters to activists to professors all the way to politicians. And B, it's all done to avoid an honest and unpleasant conversation that will result in their demise. Namely, why is it that certain groups and cultures are more prone to producing those who commit violent crime? Ooh, and the grand trick would be revealed that your so-called boogeyman of white supremacy is really just the simple thing we all call Western standardization. That is all for today. Thank you for watching, and I cannot stand these bloody people.